I don't think anybody realizes it as a coach how you envy that situation where we got off to that great start, how difficult that is to manage when you get off to that great start, because no matter what happens in the game, if you ever lose that game, it's nothing to be up that much that early. Nothing. And to manage it and have your kids persevere through it is really good, especially when they make that little run to get it to 10. And then from then on, we were really good after that as well. So our defense was so solid the entire night. You know, Charles on Langford, he's such a great defender. He can guard so many people. And then putting John Teskey obviously on Moore. Then, yeah, he's going to get his points. He's too crafty to get shut out. But John is a big guy to score over and a big guy to throw around. And so we were able to get a good start by stopping those two guys, and that's a big difference for us. So really pleased to get the W on the road. You know how hard it is to win on the road in this league. And to get another one, this would be, number 3 in the league. And you have to mount those up if you're going to compete for a championship.
Questions, please.
Am I going to do it?
John, at the last Indiana game, you talked about how you drew up plays for Charles specifically to try to get Romeo Langford to foul him. Did you do that again?
No, not really. We were just once he gets in foul trouble, we tried to attack him a little bit more. But he managed it pretty well after the 3 fouls. But what we were trying, there's action that as we watched, we felt could be effective again. That was more about action than fouls resulted from it. I wish I could take credit for that.
Talk about Charles on Langford. Was there anything schematically you guys did different as a team from the first game, or was it just that?
There was some times in the first time that we thought it was easier to switch, and today we didn't want any switches at all. We wanted him on him in every way that we could possibly get him there, and he's really good at that, and he takes his matchup personally.
What was the reasoning behind trying to avoid switch? Do you feel like the speed advantage is not something that you wanted to have to deal with?
That we wanted Charles on. That's the rationale. We wanted Charles on.
Did he have any say in that?
Charles, he likes that. Yeah, he wanted that.
Coach, with 6 different guys hitting threes and
yeah, that was big, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, is this kind of the offense?
Yeah, that's the way the plan would be, that we can be really diverse. And everybody, it seemed like everyone was key, whether it was especially in the second half. I think we made some when they got to 10. Maybe Iggy made one, and then Charles made one. John made a big one. Those were huge. Isaiah Livers, thank goodness he made one again. And so those were they might score 2 and then we make a 3. Then we get a rebound, we make a 3, and all of a sudden I look and we're back to 16 or 18, and that's really hard to come back from.
John, when you had a couple of tough ball games and you go on the road on a game like this, what's to say about the growth for this team, and how important is that as you get into the stretch run?
Well, the people at our game the other day, and it was foolish of me, that I expected this tremendous growth from our Wisconsin game in a day and a half practice. And we didn't have it. That was disappointing to me. And it wasn't about Minnesota's got a good team, and we're very fortunate to win. And I think we realized that this growth, we got to embrace this process. We have to embrace that adversity of Wisconsin and get better from it. And that's what I think we saw today. I mean, even with the clock stoppage at the beginning, and that was like when that place was charged up, like I remember it was in 13 when we came here as the #1 team in the country, and you couldn't hear yourself think, and that's what it was at the beginning. And our kids went out and just executed. So this is a lot about who they are and how they adjust, and grow, most important.
What is it about Indiana? The last 3 times you've played them in Ann Arbor, and again today, you've got off to big leads, you shot the ball well, and then of course you beat them in the Big Ten tournament on last second shot in Indianapolis. You guys seem to play your best basketball against Indiana.
Back in the day, it probably was Zach Irvin thought it was him, right? And it might have been. Those are the Indiana guys that we had. But I don't know. I really don't know. I think that our guys realize this is such a tremendous basketball program, and they got to bring their best or you get blown right out of here. But it also was great timing for us that as we stumbled this week earlier, it was really great for all of us to just look at it and say, okay, that was educational, and it was educational, Coach B too.
Going back to Wisconsin, how much has Iggy grown since that game?
Yeah, I think what he's got to just do right now is let the game come to him, right? Not get frustrated. This isn't a game where we can just, everybody has equal opportunities. They're going to take away certain things from us. And when they take away certain things from us, sometimes he won't get the shots, but he's got to do other things. And sometimes, like tonight, he will. So I think he came out of this really confident because he scored a lot of points against Minnesota, but he didn't shoot it. And today, for him to hit those 3 threes was big for us. And rebound, and he played a complete game.
Coach, you look at the overall toughness of the Big Ten this year and just how good the league is. How much do you feel that really helps your team, knowing there's no easy wins in this league, and how much does that motivate them?
Well, I think that it's always been tough like this. But the way the league has been, there have been some 5 or 6 teams that were like rebuilding. And this year, maybe there's a couple that are rebuilding and just really young players and trying to get the culture established. And so this year it just seems like, that every game, whether it's home or whether it's away, it's going to be a fight. And I think it makes us all better, and it's going to make us, hopefully everybody that can make the NCAA tournament are really good tournament teams.
Coach, thank
Right.
you. You just mentioned establishing a culture. Your first couple of years at Michigan got off to a little bit of a slow start. What do you remember about that in the context of what IU might be going through right now?
Yeah, it is. Those first few years were really hard because you think you'll have a key victory somewhere, and you say, okay, we're almost there. I don't think you ever think you're there, and then you realize that back then it was 18 games. Now it's 20 games. Now you're at Indiana. You're going to play a really tough schedule. It is really hard to maintain this, and the only way you do it is culture. But you also need other teams to go down. They got to have teams that go through stuff. We were fortunate that a few programs went down in that. You remember, it was right after that where Indiana had to rebuild. People have to just, and that's the way you stick. Because sometimes you could do everything right, but if nobody goes down, nobody's going away. Wisconsin's not going away. Michigan State's not going away. Michigan's not going away. There's a lot of people you got to get in front of. So I think that's really important. I know Archie will do that, but it is not as easy as people think.
John, getting Brandon Johnson in the game, really, was that based on the success he had in the first game against Indiana?
No, we thought based on the size and the scouting report that it was going to be he'd be a better one for us than Austin. We're trying to back and forth in practice, back and forth, just trying to get more out of that position. And so the only way you do is give him a little bit more experience.
John, against Indiana in Ann Arbor, I think Romeo had 25 or so, but tonight he got into foul trouble.
Yep.
He's
Again.
been 3 games in a row in single digits.
Yeah.
What did you guys try to focus to defensively?
Well, he's really so talented that you have to have an excellent guy on him. I don't care who it is. Keep him off the boards, and then make sure that he sees a lot of other jerseys when he's driving. Now he'll find the open guy. For a guy with that profile, his assist turnover ratio is pretty good. A lot of times you see a guy that is that talented, and he's not passing the ball. This kid's been passing the ball, but you still got to load up on him and make sure he sees a lot of our jerseys today.
John, you mentioned the clock stoppage. I guess what was going on with the...
Well, one of the shot, did they have you way up in the top here?
Yeah, we can't really see that.
Yeah, one of the clocks was working and the other wasn't.
Okay.
So it was very beneficial to us in the first half, and not beneficial for Indiana. That when we're going down the other end, we can see the one that's working, and we're on defense, we can see the one that's working. They couldn't see it either time, and that wasn't. It's unfortunate, but gradually it worked itself out.
So it was working in the second half then?
I think it was. I heard him announcing it, but I thought it was working. But maybe I was looking down at the other one. I thought it was working.
And you mentioned they kind of delayed the game. Do you feel like that maybe helped, die down the crowd a little bit?
No, it could have. It could have. It was pretty loud in there. But they put you guys way up top. You're way up there.
We're all up there. So.
We don't. We do that a little bit.
As you go into the last 6 weeks of the season,
Yeah.
you're starting to what's highest now on your to-do list for this team? What do you want to see now for this team?
I don't think about any tournament at all. I think about what's like. We need rest right now. That was our 3rd game in 7 days. And then I think about how can we get better. Sunday's practice will be all about us getting better. It won't be about looking down the road very much. The only reason I know who we play sometimes is because they need travel itineraries, and I got to tell them when we want to do things. So it is. I don't look at anything down the road at all. We just take care of today and just try and keep better in it. But we have a lot of areas we want to improve in. I can't wait for Sunday's practice. We'll go 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we will really get better during that time.
If there is an area that you really want to see.
Ariana, what's my answer there? He wants to know what areas we got to improve in. What would I say? I ain't
You're not
telling
going to
you.
reveal your secrets.
Yeah, I'm not telling you what areas we got to improve in. We have a lot of areas we have to improve in.
Anything else?
You got to be on call. You got to be ready for that right away. Don't ask him that question.
John, you guys had, I guess, maybe trouble responding late in the Wisconsin game and against Minnesota. How much do you feel like that maybe helped you when they kind of cut it?
Yeah, it probably did. I think that, and us as well. At this time of the year, I realized that you have to play more 2-minute games in practice. We have to do more of that because I didn't think we were good in the end because we hadn't had many. And usually after was today game 20?
Yes.
After game 20, you've had about 7 or 8 of those, and you practiced them in the preseason. We haven't had a lot of them. And so I think that's been an emphasis to his practice. Even though it was short, we played a bunch of these little special situations. But today, we just tried to run some good action there to give people open and people are guarded a certain way, so we're trying to adapt offensively too.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks. Safe travel.